Please note,
family
this
med,
session is
and
being recorded.
urgent care.
Okay. Urgent care. The urgent care is, I don't know why more people don't talk about this. Why urgent cares are not more involved in clinical research. I mean, the ones that are do very well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for something like that, that's great for a low income or financially depressed area where that's the place that they're taking their kids for vaccines.
Right.
A flu vaccine in a situation like that would be phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what kind of studies are you trying to get over there?
Well, cardiology, endocrinology would be another one because the cardiac patients have a high, comorbidities with cardiology as well. I've been so into, oncology for so long. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to. There's an oncologist here, and I'm just going to bite the bullet and go over there. He's got 4 centers.
Yeah, those I've talked to. I mean, I'm sure you talk to even more sponsors than I do in oncology, but they all say, hey, the holy grail, if you can find us community-based oncologists that are not involved with the AMC, which is an academic medical center for everyone watching and listening, but just based out of the community.
Yeah,
Those we would love those guys. The problem is they don't really exist anymore. I don't know why.
they're few and far between. Like, there's Dr. Shaw, and Dr. Shaw, I work with finding him studies. And he's got a little clinic in Gettysburg. This guy that I, found, he's got 4 clinics in 2 states, and he sees everything. So he's got to have other oncologists. So I talked to a friend of mine who's an oncologist, and I said, how do I get him? And he goes, get dressed up very nicely, take a nice box of chocolates, your business cards, and go introduce yourself.
Okay.
So when this is over and done with, that's what I'm going to do.
Is this so this is you're in New York, right? So this is in the tri-state area?
I'm in Pensy.
Oh, okay, you're in Pennsylvania. All right. You
Yeah.
are where are you? Like close to Philly or where are you located?
I'm a Pennsyltucky, and I'm on the border of New Jersey up in Bethlehem, Allentown.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're in Pharma Central, more or
Yeah,
less.
yeah.
That's good.
Well,
That's good. For some
and
reason, I thought you were like in New York City.
I do a lot of work in New York,
Okay, that makes sense.
but unfortunately, people see my profile and they're like, oh, Pennsylvania, you've got to be close to Philadelphia. By the way the crow flies, I'm 48 miles. That's 3
Yeah.
hours drive.
3 Could it be 3 hours, you're saying?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like the 405, trying to get down the turnpike and get into Philadelphia.
Is it that bad? I've been to Philly. I don't remember it that well. It's because their highways are not as wide as ours. I think that's the
No,
problem.
yeah, you have to get on to like it's 76. We refer to it as the Shorekill Expressway. And it goes by like Boathouse Row where they do all the college
Oh yeah.
sculling
Yep.
races.
Yep.
And it's the Schuylkill River, so we all call it the Shorekill, but it's 4 lanes, 2 in each. I mean, and it just forget it. If there's a football game, a baseball game, and a basketball game, pack lunch because that's where you're eating it.
Or go to Alessandro's. The best cheesesteak I've ever had.
Oh, please. Pats.
Pat's? Really?
Pats.
See, I
Yes.
didn't even go because people told me it's a tourist trap.
Oh, but you got to know how to order it.
Alessandro's was super good. It's like in this hole in the wall, like
Oh,
basically like a liquor store.
oh my gosh. Those are the best places to go to get a cheesesteak. I mean, absolutely. And when I was growing up, and I would never do it now, you used to be able to go down the street and stop at a traffic light, and they would have fresh baked Philly pretzels,
Mm-hmm.
as fresh as they just came out of the oven. Nowadays, they're like pieces of cardboard with rock in them. I mean, it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
but,
Philly's awesome. I love Philly. How did you actually get started in clinical research?
I was in nursing school,
Mm,
and 3 weeks before I could sit for my state boards, I was working in a vet unit, and I had a bad lift with a patient. And as a result, I spent 2 years with my shoulder and my arm taped to my chest because I couldn't move it,
mhm,
and tore out everything. And my husband happened to be working at J&J for 25 years. He's a PK scientist. And he would come in, he's not medically inclined at all. Bench stuff, great. PK, great. Mechanism of action, great. Medical, sucks. I always say, I'm stuff and I can't, they're not processed. I was like, okay. I give them a suggestion about something or tell them what's going on with the patient. And he goes, you guys should get into this clinical research. And nobody would hire you unless you had experience. It's very incestuous. So to get
right.
experience, and to get hired, you had to have work. You had to have done it. So I fell into this very small, novel biotech company called Metarex. And they were offering Columbia. They had a guy by the name of Dr. James Weir from Columbia University. He would come in 3 days a week for 6 months, and we would have 10 to 12-hour classes with him. And then on the 2 days we weren't in class, we were out with proctors. And you had to graduate, ace the test with 95% or better, or you didn't get your certificate from Columbia. And fell into that, and I just loved it. I was like, and I mean, I was like a kid in a candy store when I first started. It's like, give me more. I want to learn more. And just, I loved it. And it was oncology, and it was ipilimumab was our first product out the gate, and then BMS bought us. And I
Mm.
didn't want to ride on that horse show.
So what did
Um,
you do after that when BMS took over?
I went out, small company. I like the smaller companies. I think there's more opportunity, but that's my opinion. And
I do too.
yeah, it just, you're not a number, you're a contributor.
Right.
And
And
you
if it's
learn,
small enough, you're a major contributor.
yeah, I mean, when I first started out, we were doing our own accruals, we were doing our budgets, contracts, everything. You name it, we did it. Um, I knew everything about my study. Now it's so segmented. You have to go ask 5 people up the food chain what's going on with an ICF because you don't do it anymore. Somebody else does it. But
Hmm.
so I went to another small company, and they sold out. And I said, you know what? The economy was going belly up back about that time. And there wasn't a lot of FTE stuff. As I said, I'm going to go independent. And that just was like opened so many more doors
Wow.
being a consultant. And it was fun.
So
I could
how long was that? So what was the transition? You started at this biotech, it got acquired. How long did that take? Like how long were you actually there?
say 6 years.
Okay, that's a good amount of
I would
time.
have, yep, I would have stayed there another 6 years.
And so with that company, you did your first monitoring and all that stuff.
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then you went solo, which is so what did you notice when you went solo? Because you're like I guess you're like me, you're like an entrepreneur. You like to, create your own roadmap for your career. So
Well,
what was that like?
I think the first thing that I learned was how much time I spent working for free as an FTE. And when I thought about, all the hours on the road, all the traveling, all the expectations, and then back in the office the next day,
Mhm.
that 10-hour round trip or that 13-hour round trip that I just took, I did it for free. Um, I don't travel for free anymore. You know,
But why would
um,
you do like, what was the purpose of doing that for free? Like, you were
well,
paying how
okay,
were you paid?
an FTE, you're paid salary.
Okay.
And your salaries, if you do that 40 hours or you have an 80-hour week,
Okay, I got you. I get what you mean. So it's
you
not
know,
that you were paying for, your flights and all that stuff. I
no, no, no,
understand.
no, no. But,
Yeah.
that time.
Those people that wanna be CRAs, I tell them, like, when your first 2 years, I mean, they're gonna take advantage of you. You're gonna be flying all over the place on a salary, and they don't care if, like you said, if it's 40 hours, it's never gonna be 40 hours, especially
No.
now when when the industry starts again. Are you kidding? 80 hours might be the new 40 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
It
You
might be
know, I
120 hours. I don't even know if that's possible.
it believe me, it is. I've done a few of those,
I
and
haven't done the math. I haven't done the math.
the worst year I had back then, I traveled 215,000 miles in the air.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you
A
were
lot
you
of
were
overseas.
doing, so okay, so then when you went solo, did you like, were you just not aware of the amount of money? Because for everybody that doesn't know, I mean, when you're a contractor, you get paid so much more
Yeah.
than a full-time employee. It's not even close, right?
No, it's not. It's not.
So
I
did
did
were your eyes
mentoring.
opened, or like you always knew that?
No, I knew it, but I was, we all have that fear, uh, I'm probably, one of the old dogs, in this group.
Mhm.
I'm a grandmother. I had children, back then that, were still relying on me for support, a roof over their head, food in their mouths, insurance, and, that was a real big concern. Am I going to make my bills? Am I going to make enough and get enough hours and contracts to keep myself busy? And, at first I was really hesitant and scared because of that. It's, your priorities.
Mhm.
Um, but once I got over that fear and I just kind of closed my eyes and took the step off the ledge, it was
Yeah.
great.
I'm always curious to talk to people, and I invited Rod Raphael to come on, who's been on the show before. I'm gonna try to get Darshan Kulkarni. He's probably not gonna come today, but sometime. Everybody who, like, all the OGs that were in research pre last Great Recession, because I guess
Yeah.
now it's Great Depression, right? So
Well, 2008.
yeah, 2008 was like the last recession, but I want to know, I want to talk to people like even so I started in '05. So I want to talk to people who were in this when it was very good and then experienced that Great Recession and when things got really bad and then the slow recovery, which ended up being over a decade of, like, again, boom times, and then now like nothing we've ever seen before. I don't think it's comparable to Great Recession. I think this is because I think research will recover quickly after this when
Oh, I,
when all this
I
stuff's
think
over.
when this is done and this is over, I'm already seeing like the panic notes about we need people now. We need
Yeah.
people out here, and I think that as much as I like being in my house, I'm not going to see it for a while.
Yeah, I love being in my house too. So I got every day I'm getting something like this. Today, thank you so much for your crash course on YouTube. I got a roll today from studying the video on repeat. So clinical research, brand new, didn't take any academy. It helps if you
Uh,
take academy, but didn't do anything. Watched the video, probably applied like a mad woman, and got hired.
yeah.
So, that speaks volumes. Like, this was not happening in the Great Recession. Remember, Sherry, in the Great Recession, experienced senior CRAs were getting laid off. like
Yeah,
laid off, like in huge volumes.
I had been in another small company at the time when all that was happening, and I wasn't really worried about it before it happened because my phone, literally, I was have headhunters calling me and saying, I was like, dude, I'm working. I can't, like 12, 14, 15 calls in a day. They wouldn't stop. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I can't talk to you. And then the recession hit
Hmm.
and there was nothing. I mean, it was crickets everywhere. I might
And
have
you were a
gotten,
contractor, right?
at that point, I was FTE. It was
Okay.
right after that. And then the company started to fall off. People started struggling. And that's when I sort of went to the FTE because I then saw that there were more contract positions coming up than there were FTEs.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. I've never done an FTE, or a contract position before. I have, kind of naive about it. And but then I realized I saw the writing on the wall with the companies, they were folding. That's
Yep.
another risk with the small biotechs. They don't sustain very well in a poor economy because they're working off of like hedge funds and private financing and whatever they can get
They're
to
working off of Wall Street. If their stock tanks,
they
those
are,
investors' net worth like goes down by 80%, and they say, "Hey, we're not doing these studies anymore."
right, right. That we don't have the money. We're at this level or that level. And that's, kind of where I just decided, give it a try. And I loved it. I loved it. I could work less hours, make more money, and I could pick and choose where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
that's like, but so what advice do you have to someone watching right now that says, "Hey, Sherry, that's great, but I don't want to be a full-time employee. I just want to jump right into consulting." Like, is that even possible, or do they have to put in their time somewhere, in your
I think
opinion?
I think you have to put time in. I think we all have to pay our dues. I think that, and there's nothing. Some of the lowliest tasks that I did when I was first learning are some of the ones that are some of the most valuable. Like, and when we did everything Fridays, we would get into our jeans and our comfy sweatshirts and we would go sit on the cement floor in the file room
Mm,
and we would organize our files and we would, do all that grunt work that comes after the, pampered princess on a plane kind of activity and traveling to all these exotic places. But it's what taught me to stay organized. My system of what works. But and I'm talking all paper back then.
yeah,
I
I
almost
remember.
chiseling stone.
I'm all like, whenever I get a chance to talk to someone, I guess I'm one of the OGs now too because I started in '05 as a coordinator. Then in '06, I got a chance to run the site, which was a small site. And then in '07, same thing. '08, I thought I was like, for lack of a better word, like superhuman. So I expanded into a recession, which was really stupid, and had to learn the hard way and then survived. But that always sticks with me. Like, way before coronavirus, like during the boom years of research from 2012 until now, I always remember how things got back then. So I'm always curious to hear other people's stories who've been in this industry long enough to go through cycles, to go through downturns. And I don't think we're in a downturn now in research. I mean, not when entry level people are getting hired in the middle of a pandemic. That that was not happening in '08.
I
Senior CRAs were getting cut off in large volumes, right?
right. Well, okay. So I have. All right. Let me date myself. So you talk about paper. When I started, we didn't even have NCRs.
What's
We
that?
used to
CR?
the non carbon
Oh, like
paper. We didn't
I
have
got
that.
you.
We
Okay.
had single pages. And when we did queries, we used to do something called layering. So you'd take your original CRF page, you'd make a copy of it, you'd make your edits on it, you'd write like version A, and then that was your query, your change on your CRF. And then another one, you made another copy and you wrote version B, and you wrote your changes. And then again and again, I mean, one page with corrections could be 10 pages.
Wow.
That's what we did. We used to also be able to take charts out of the facility with us at times. And
Wow.
sitting in your hotel room in your pajamas on the bed, monitoring.
Well, yeah, when I came in, it was 05. There was still paper CRFs, but immediately, and it was the carbon copied one. So the monitor would
Yeah,
come, literally pull the pages, FedEx them to some data manager. And then the next year, it was all EDC. So my
yeah,
experience with paper CRF was like two studies. It was two studies. But
yeah,
I feel like I'm still part of that old school crowd because I get to say that I've actually been in this industry long enough to where they were using paper CRFs.
yeah,
But yeah, like to see the technologies change and then people's fear. I mean, people were afraid. I wasn't because I didn't know any better, right? But EDC, it was like going to change everything, and people's jobs were going to be replaced with EDC systems. Okay, that never happened. More CRAs got hired, not less. So same thing now. People are worried about with virtual trials and with eSource. I mean, it's all the same thing. It's always just the same thing. Rod Raphael, how's it going, man? You're on mute. Unmute because we gotta talk. This is Rod Raphael. He's talking about OG, Sherry. This is a guy you gotta get to know.
he looks about my age.
Rod,
He's on mute.
you're mute. You're mute. Just try to connect your mic.
Oh,
Oh,
there we
there you
go.
go. There you go.
I did hit it, but it didn't go. Hey, we were faxing CRFs when I was
Yeah,
in 85.
yeah,
So
yeah.
during the AIDS epidemic.
Oh
Man,
gosh.
fax machines. Remember those? I was faxing because we had email when I came out, but when I started, like I was getting ignored on emails, and then so like for biz dev, right? And I wouldn't do this now. I would not recommend. It's like the opposite of my principles now. But I would fax CROs like basically a pitch, like, "Hey, this is our site. This is why you should use us." And I would fax them so often. They would call me and say, "Hey, you're wasting our toner. Stop faxing." Just like send an email. And this is when emails were barely started to get incorporated into research. So yeah, faxing CRFs. That's I've not experienced that.
Yeah, that was a long time ago that's when we first started doing research in 85.
Can you imagine, Monica, faxing your CRF?
No, no, thank you
Well,
very much.
it was the wild, wild west during the AIDS epidemic.
Well,
Now,
yeah,
Rod,
that was,
yes, and
AIDS.
Hazen came on. Dr. Hazen came on Monday, and she talked about how there's a lot of similarities between this and AIDS epidemics.
Oh,
Between coronavirus
absolutely.
and this. What do you think? Because, like, do you want to share your story of what's happened to you over the last month?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We both, my wife and I, run our research office, and we both got exposed. We don't know how, obviously. Um, so I had it very, very mild. She had it pretty strong, to the point where I took her to the ER one day because she was breathing so horrible. I mean, her pulse ox was 84. So
Ooh.
um, she's got secondary pneumonia. We're both better now, but to to correlate it with the HIV epidemic, yes, because now we're getting the hysteria. Oh, you can't be here. You're positive still, and you. How do you know you're not still sick? And it's getting
Hmm.
very frustrating. So It's kind of like during the HIV epidemic when people would say, well, how do you know you're not going to get it? Well, I know what they have. I don't know what you have. So yeah, we're better now. I mean, yes, it was very
Thank
rough.
God.
She had all the symptoms. And you
Ouch.
don't want to drop your family member off at the front door of a hospital and have to go sit in your car not knowing if they're going to be leaving or if they're going to stay.
Right.
So it wasn't a very fun day for me, for sure, or for her, obviously. But we're better. But now
Thank God.
we're just trying to, for lack of a better term, turn that light switch back on and get back to work. And we're getting a little bit of pushback.
From
On
who?
that.
From people who work with you, or who's pushing back?
Well, it's not. We have our office within a building that has a hospital ran clinic, and we're getting pushback from them. So
Really?
bad that they locked the bathroom doors yesterday because they didn't want us to use those restrooms.
Wait, but how did they even know? Like, how
Well,
did they
because
know?
we had to notify the people in the building that we had been exposed and caught the virus, so that they could, knew. So in case they became sick, if they wanted, like I have a staff member that had to self quarantine because we were around them.
Yeah.
So obviously we don't know how we got it. It could have been at the grocery store. It could have been from a patient. It could have been from one of them at the office. But
Wow.
it really doesn't matter. It's just a shame that you're getting this kind of pushback from other healthcare workers. And that's the unfortunate thing, is we don't know enough about the virus.
No.
Right. What's your site doing? Like, while you guys were sick, were the coordinators still there, or
Well, no,
patients being seen?
we exposed our doctor and our nurse practitioner. And the doctor wasn't seeing patients anyway. He was doing teleconferencing with his practice. My wife is the primary coordinator, and I'm everything, I do the regulatory and all of that. My assistant was exposed. My EDC and coordinator was exposed. So we were essentially shut down.
And you're in Indianapolis.
Correct.
I mean, the Midwest been relatively hard hit. I mean, everything's in context to New York City. I mean, nothing's like that. But Detroit, I actually personally know someone else in Detroit, another site owner, that got coronavirus, and he says, he's young, healthy, but he said when they say it's mild, like it's mild meaning you don't die, but it's not mild. It's not like the flu. That's what he
Dan,
said.
I hate to keep going on about it, but she had every single symptom there is.
Wow.
Every day it was something different.
Are you guys are fine now? You're feeling fine, like back to normal?
Yeah, we're fine. That's why we went in yesterday. We had a few
Thank
patients,
God.
existing patients, come in. I'm not comfortable quite yet, bringing in anybody new
Right.
into the mix. But yes, we did see some patients yesterday. But as I said, I know we got a little bit of pushback. I know that the hospital that owns my doctor's practice and the building called him today, so I don't know how that went.
Wow.
Anyway, hopefully, I'm sure it'll all work itself out, but it's going to be, and I don't
With
think
time.
I think this is going to be the norm, unfortunately, with a lot of people, because they say, well, how do you really know you don't have it anymore? And then you look at the CDC guidelines, and they have two different guidelines on there. They have one that says that if you were exposed, you can go back to work if you're a week out with no symptoms, no Tylenol, and no fever for 72 hours. They have another one that says that if you got tested and were positive, that you need to be at least 14 days out with 2 consecutive negative tests. So
I just saw a study. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do know a nurse, though, and I know a lot of nurses that are working in the hospital that never got tested and were just told if they don't have a fever for 72 hours, they can come back.
Mm. Well, we have one nursing home here that has 98 positives.
Oh, gosh.
And my girlfriend, she works in another nursing home, and they have 2 staff members and 2 patients right now that are positive. So God knows how that's going to flourish in that nursing home. And then I just saw a study where they had done testing on pregnant patients coming in for just routine exams over the course of time. 25% of them have tested positive, I think it was, without symptomology. So they've been exposed, which is very frightening for us right now. My daughter's pregnant.
Yeah.
And
especially if you don't know.
Right.
And
and
can't get tested.
And what effects is it going to have on the fetus?
Right. And I just one more thing about it is we got tested because Lily was providing those tests for healthcare workers.
Mhm.
Well, after we got so much pushback the day before yesterday, we went and got retested thinking, okay, if anybody questions it, we can show them that it's negative. Well, it's not negative. It came back positive still because we're still shedding the virus.
Right.
So now we have to do another 14 days.
Oh, for
Quarantine? Self-quarantine?
Well, there's mixed answers on that. So, and there are just FYI, there are places like here, Indiana University is doing a plasma study. So there are universities, I guess, around the country doing those, where if you've been exposed, like your friend Dan, he can go, and as long as he's 28 days symptom free, he can go and donate plasma.
Yeah, no, he got it early. Like he got it in early March, and he's fine now. He was never even tested. Like they just diagnosed him based on the symptoms that he had.
I
Because
wasn't
he literally
tested
had
the
every
first
symptom.
day. I mean, I wasn't tested the first time. She was because she was so sick, but I knew I had it because I was living with her.
Yeah. Now, what about the? Oh, go ahead, Sherry.
No, I was going to say, I mean, and they're very worried about the fluidity of this virus itself, and it's changing, it's morphing. Not necessarily, about being re-exposed to a different variant of the same virus.
Yeah, well, there was a healthcare worker when we called in to get rescheduled to retest that said they've already had somebody come back positive a second time. Now, of course, that could be like us. So it's hard to know for sure whether they've been re-exposed or whether they're still showing the virus because it's still shedding and they're, But
Monica, I was gonna say, Monica, this is Rod. We've been sharing study leads and also with Rosario.
Yeah. Hi, Rod.
Julie. So yeah, the good news is research seems to be in startup mode. And there are feasibility questions every day, something new. Today we got a virtual trial asking for a site in Illinois to do this virtual trial. So there's tons of studies, getting started in the case of coronavirus studies or virtual trials, and also in startup mode. So I'm still bullish, very bullish on this industry rest of the year. My biggest concern is the patients. When do the patients feel comfortable enough to come to a clinic?
Yeah, for sure. And
But
as a site, you have to be comfortable to see them too if they have any comorbidities.
That too.
I think the sponsors are, aware of that, and they are trying to accommodate everything. I've been receiving messages pretty much every day telling us on updates on how they are accommodating the protocol to the circumstances. So, it probably will still be happening in different scenarios, but I think it will still be happening. We still need to keep things working, the show must go, even that we're passing through these difficulties right now. But I mean, we always will find a way to improve things and make things happen. I mean, especially in this industry.
Right.
Rod, have you been able to apply for any SBA loans or anything like that?
Yeah, I've applied for the PPP and the disaster one. I have not seen either one of them yet. I have. Well, we went ahead and collected unemployment too, and that came through. So that was relatively easy. But I don't know about the other two. So far, haven't seen anything.
Chris, you're right. Chris has been applying for our companies also. So yeah, we're gonna share studies with Rod. We already have been. Sawyer has been doing that too, because there's tons of studies. And Rod, people are getting hired. Before you got on, Sherry and I were talking about how this is. It may feel like Great Recession, but it's actually very different, at least for research. And I think we're super lucky to be in this industry because we're not like hotels or restaurants. We are seeing people like today. Somebody messaged me; they got hired, no experience, but they just went crazy applying places. Watched my video, the 5-hour video, so like knew how to answer basic questions and got hired, like today. And so people are getting hired, research naive, in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
That's got to be a bullish sign, right?
But what's that say about the industry as a whole? I mean, I'm sure it was a CRO. I have no
Maybe I
doubt.
don't know who it was. I don't know. I'm not sure.
And I don't know.
It
I
could
mix
be a
feelings
site.
stuff.
It could be a site. Maybe this person's like a MA or something, and they need someone extra to draw blood. Their coordinators are afraid to draw blood right now. Who knows? Who knows? But it's still
Yeah.
bullish. It's still bullish.
Dan, I have to tell you something. One of our students called me and told me that she didn't get laid off. Guess why?
Why? Because she's in the CRC Academy.
Because she was in the CRC Academy and the company paid for the class, and then because she became generalist, so she knew how to do everything, and they
Wow.
trusted her so much that she was. I mean, she was given. I mean, obviously, she's now going to be doing the job of 5 people or 4 people,
We need to interview
but
her.
she was not. Yeah, I told her, but
Send
she
her this
didn't get
link.
laid
Have
off
her come
because
on
of
right
that.
now. We demand her to come on right now on this link. Send her this link.
Yeah, I wanted to let you know
That's
that it
awesome.
was. I was just
That's
like so
awesome.
proud. Yeah.
We always talk about being a generalist, and when you start out, of course, you're going to be a specialist, but your goal should be to be a generalist, become like multifaceted so that no matter what happens, and almost no matter what organization you work at, you're going to be valuable because you can do something else. So that's really cool. So this person's works at a site or a SMO, or what kind of place does she work?
It's a site, but the thing is, it's a big site because it belongs to us, kind of a small clinic or hospital, something like that. But she pretty much was the lead person in that department. But the thing was that since she learned how to do every single thing, they just trusted her to get in charge of everything, and they let off everybody else. And she
They
was the
laid
Does that
only
off.
one
sound
that.
Wow.
sounds like you, Dan?
Yeah, right.
Same way we started. That's the same way most of us started.
Hey, she took our class, so she learned.
Yeah, that's what she said. That she said thanks to the class. She called me this morning after she got. Actually, she texted me yesterday that she needed to speak with me, and she spoke to me this morning and told me, "I wanted you to know this.
Wow.
Thanks."
How did she
Yeah.
demonstrate? I wonder how she demonstrated, in that period of time that she was a generalist. Because you don't just tell people I'm a generalist. You sound like an idiot.
No,
But like,
so what happened? So what happened is because she took the class last year, she started doing things here and there, and she started kind of showing them that she was able to do everything. Plus, this organization paid for her class, so they knew she was learning all this material. So they were kind of using her knowledge, and now she was pretty much the only person in the staff that was able to perform everything. So
make
Wow.
yourself irreplaceable, pandemic proof. because of
Yeah.
wow, that's huge. That's huge. And you know what? That's interesting because now what happens to those 4 people or however many people that did get laid off? You know, like what do they do when this is over? Like, do they come back to research? Are they going to be fed up with it and do something else? I mean, who knows? Like, are they going to be CRAs now? I don't know. Like,
Yeah, well, they were told that they are going to kind of let them go for a while, but they are going to get their jobs back in a few months. So it's just because they don't have much. I mean, the load is not as big.
yeah,
I
they
mean,
said, hey, we want this person who got trained by Monica. We don't want anyone
yeah,
else right now.
Well,
yeah.
there's a for at the site level, there's a lot of security in being able to say that I applied for the PPD loan so I can bring you back. I mean, when I laid off my 2 other people, that's what I told them. I said I'll be able to bring you back sooner because, well, my other 3 people sooner because of that. So I
Yeah.
mean, that was a good move. Um, that'll
Have
probably
you
save a lot of sites.
have you guys
Mhm.
switched virtual, like virtual monitoring, virtual patient, like telehealth? What have you done?
We've done the drive-bys, but we haven't for the parking lot
Okay.
stuff and sending some, some medication through the mail. But
Wow, you send
no, we
medication through the mail?
well we did it FedEx with
Okay.
and secure and insured it and all that.
Wow.
And the person had to go get lab works done. So though I'm
Okay.
not sure where they're going to be able to do that, but
Interesting. Yeah, Chris and I are working on an idea of like a hybrid virtual trial vendor where like we can try to rescue. We're not gonna rescue all the studies. That's crazy. But I want like one client. It starts with one, right? Get one client. Say, hey, this is our solution for your study. You know, we have telehealth. We have the technology all there. Telehealth, patient reported outcome, and now we're gonna send phlebotomists to the patient's home to do the EKGs, to collect the labs, bring the labs back, take the IP there. So it's all like everything's being done by us at the patient's home, and on top of that, we'll have somebody scanning source and regulatory at the site. So not the site themselves, someone from our group to scan. So it costs the site nothing, to facilitate monitoring visits. Because usually that's what triggers a site payment is a monitoring visit. We haven't even talked about that. If monitoring's not going on, how are sites going to get paid right now? They're not.
exactly.
They're not. Virtual.
Yeah,
We
I
got
mean,
to
right now
virtual.
we're okay, but 2 or 3 months from now is going to be
Exactly.
the issue.
Unless that CRA comes in like in June, when I think things get back to normal-ish by June, and that CRA is gonna have to get busy. I mean, gonna have like 20 visits at least to SDV, right?
We've had a couple monitoring calls, so I mean, maybe some of it will get done. That maybe some of the pharmaceutical companies will allow them to do some monitoring by phone, but that's still not the same as putting your eyes on it.
Have you guys been scanning anything like source and sending it? Have they requested anything?
Not yet.
See, this is our
No.
opportunity, Chris. I don't know if you're there. I see your name, but this is the opportunity. I think sponsors would pay for this,
I'm
and
here,
I
by
think
the way.
sites would be
Just
happy with
listening.
it too. What's that, Chris?
But I'm here. I'm just listening.
Hey, remember Rod? You met Rod.
Oh, yeah.
We did.
Met him in Long Beach.
That's
We were at
right.
a client's. We're still with those clients with the surgery center, and then
Yep.
Rod came through because he was at an investigator meeting in Hollywood, right? Hollywood,
Yep.
Yeah.
Rod and his wife.
Hollywood and Highland. I know where you were at.
Right.
That was a while ago, but yeah.
It
So,
was.
what do you think, Rod, going forward? Like, are you seeing more feasibilities too? I know you guys are sharing with Monica and Rosario, but what are you seeing?
Uh, we've had a couple come through, but I haven't seen as much. I know they're out there. I know that there's stuff on the works. You can feel it. You can see it
Yeah.
from the emails and stuff that's going on. And I think by May, I think we're going to see a big push of new studies and new, obviously the coronavirus stuff is out there too.
They're out there. I
But-
see every day now. Coronavirus study is seeking sites.
I was just looking at them earlier on clinicaltrials.gov, and there was just over 100 of them. So
Yeah, Dr. Hazen came on Monday. She has 2 of them herself. But she's got an interesting model though. She's bootstrapping it, so she's gonna have the sites kind of do it for free, but give them equity in the outcomes. There's like I don't know the details because I'm not doing it, but that's like her business model for this study. So let's see what happens. But she was on Monday.
well, a lot of those are inpatient studies where big money is, but
Right.
But
Well,
there
that's
are
good.
a lot of them being done. There's a lot of them that sound similar that are being done at different universities around the country.
Right.
But they sound like they're almost doing them individually.
So compared to like 08 recession, does this feel similar or not really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Me too.
I think we're going to see, the hiccups that we're seeing them now, and I don't think it's going to get any worse than this.
Thank God we don't own restaurants and we don't own hotels. Because that ain't coming around anytime soon.
Well, wait a minute. They have interruption insurance.
Do you think most of them do, though?
Yes, they do. I just talked to a friend of mine who's an insurance agent, and I said, you need to learn how to hook me up with that.
We got to get that. That's crazy. That'd be good for a site, but actually, technically, I mean, theoretically, they can say, well, you're not interrupted because you can do it virtually, right?
If your site has all the ability to do that, But
but those insurers, they're going to argue that you can, and that's it.
I think the virtual is coming very quick now because of all this.
Yes, that's why me and Chris need to be on it, and we partnered with this guy who has been on. I'm gonna have him on too. He's like he owns these telehealth. He's been doing telehealth, telepsychiatry, and he already has PROs. See, he has all the ingredients and doesn't even know how they could apply to research because he's in the consumer side. Like, how can this doctor continue seeing their patients? And then he's worried about the billing component. But this is like research a whole new market for this, right? So I think if elements survive, I think this could be a good little feature for our small CRO to have. If we do it right. But there's so many opportunities. I mean, yesterday we talked about the disconnect between what sponsors think and want versus what's actually possible. And if you can bridge that gap, that disconnect, that's like a huge business opportunity there too.
Sorry, but 6 minutes ago, I heard you talking about the loans, the SBAs and such. 6 minutes ago, I received an email in regards to we've moved out of the queue and now we can actually apply for a loan. So hey, moving on in the world here.
We picked our virtual number at the deli.
Yep.
So,
we picked our number.
Chris.
Yes.
So you went online, and which loan are you referring to? The
So
disaster one?
the PPP, Paycheck Protection Program. That's five times fast.
So I filled all that out with my bank, Chase.
Yeah, I did too with Chase. So Dan and I have a few different businesses and they're under different banks. Chase was
we did that on purpose too.
Chase was instantaneous. Wells Fargo put us in a queue.
Oh, okay. That's what I was going to ask you. If it was different than what?
Yeah, they're different. Wells Fargo and Chase are different.
Hey, maybe we get some money out of this.
Maybe so.
Anything we can.
Yeah, I did see somebody, and I'm not sure how they applied in another industry, and they were qualified for $1,460 a week.
Wow, that sounds like unemployment.
No, it's not. It wasn't, and I'll have to go back and ask them, but because it was on a discussion about the payment for the SBA stuff. So, and he's because we haven't opened up in Pennsylvania, they have not opened up unemployment for self-employed yet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they did in California, but you're not getting anything until the state figures out, because the federal government's subsidizing it. So the state is working out, getting the money, I guess, from federal before they distribute it to the self-employed people.
Yep.
Now I know on the disaster loan, the one it's like 10,000, and then you're supposed to be able to get additional funds possibly after that. I got an email the other day saying that it was $1,000 per employee.
That's right.
Yep.
I got that too. But that includes yourself or any independent contractors.
Right.
So yeah, that's good too. I applied for those things weeks ago, and I've been getting the same emails, but nothing in the bank.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing where it matters. Email is not going to pay staff. I mean, you can pay a staff in an email too, right? Send them a nice
Neither is
email.
my unemployment.
Exactly.
$335.
I thought it was going to be more than that. Didn't the CARES Act allow for $600 a week?
It hasn't shown up yet.
Oh, okay. See, the same thing as California. It's not kicked in until they
Checks
get
in the
that
mail.
figured out. Yeah, right. Not in the mail. They're working it out. The state doesn't want to pay. The state is broke. They don't want to pay for anything they can't afford.
It's a lot of money in California.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But hey, you know what? The light at the end of the tunnel is here, I think. And I'm bullish on the industry. And that's, all you can do is better yourself. Try to get all the loans you can. Try to, if you're an employee, become a generalist. I mean, look, this was unplanned. I didn't even know
Dan,
about it. Monica,
while we
yeah, what's
were
going on?
talking, one of the students sent me a message asking me that she is planning on moving to Qatar, and she applied to a job there, and she sent me all the description of the job and everything, and I was reading what they are offering, and this will be, I mean, great opportunity for like somebody that is young and would like to experience living in Qatar or Dubai. I did, and it was amazing. And plus, you don't have to pay taxes; they pay for your accommodation and everything. And this organization is offering this a study coordinator. They are offering accommodation, tax-free salary, free, fully furnished accommodation provided, transportation allowance. So they give them money on top of the salary for transportation, and 40 days pay annual vacation days, and the retirement plan, etc. So imagine this is for a CRC a student that is moving to Qatar.
Really good. But will they give toilet paper? Is the question.
That's your bonus.
Yeah.
Your bonus is toilet paper.
Your sign-on
actually really
bonus
good.
is sign-on bonus is a crate of toilet paper.
Yeah, right. That's pretty cool. We're giving these people value in this academy. We gotta charge more. What's going on?
Yeah. Wow.
We're doing less. While we're on this kick of this commercial, if you are a healthcare worker, okay, for the CRC Academy, we're giving you half off. So it's $1,500 if you are a healthcare worker.
Yes. For May class only.
For the May class, which is
Yeah,
filling up
which is
fast,
actually
right?
getting full now. Yeah.
Yep.
I got this. Somebody sent me this today.
New toilet paper.
Some assembly required. And you
Very nice.
still need to send me your accreditation organization.
Oh yeah, you know what? Let me look it up right now. I have to. Chris, do we have that? The accreditation certificate for CRA Academy?
We do.
Can you send that to Sherry?
Just send me the company.
Oh, just name the company.
What?
She just wants the name of the company that's accrediting.
Oh. I don't remember their name.
I don't
I'd have
either.
to look it up.
I was telling Sherry that I actually feel bad to even have it because I feel like we're just paying just to say we have it when really the value is like the experience we give, the internship, the hands-on with the CVs and all that stuff. You know, I still believe the only accreditation that matters is like ACRP, SOCRA, and you're not going to get that. You know, you're not going to get
Yeah.
those guys to accredit
So
small
it's
business.
the Accreditation Council for Clinical Research Education.
Ah, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, I think if a
It's
student or somebody
ACCRE.
wants,
The what?
ACCRE.
Okay. All right. That's what I needed.
yeah,
Don't
I
know
think if
anything
somebody
about.
wants to get accreditation, they just should go and do the test for
Yeah.
the ACH.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I mean,
I have
and you can,
yeah. No, I had a clinical staffing company that doesn't do CRAs or CRCs that asked me if I would put together and do training, which I liked. I did it before. So I said I would do classes. And, having talked with you, Dan, I have some docs that are doing some, investigator initiated stuff. So I've reached out to them and,
You
yeah.
know, I think it was on the first week that we were doing these meetups. Somebody, I think Dominic gave us the idea to do our own accreditation. Like we have enough people on this group, you know, why don't we just create our own and then accredit people who want to, you know, like other academies or I just don't know if there's enough of a market for that, but like we can also accredit individuals.
Yeah.
I
create
don't
the
know.
test.
Yeah, and put me up for being interested in that nonprofit board that you have up.
Which one?
You have something up there on LinkedIn about nonprofit.
Let me see.
I'm trying to think. I have to go back and look now. I'm not in
Maybe
my
I was
LinkedIn.
maybe it was a comment. Maybe I was like replying to someone's comment or something.
I don't know.
I can't remember anymore. Was it Dr. Hazen's? I don't know if she has a nonprofit. We were trying to
See if I can find it.
yeah. But yeah, I'm interested in like that kind of things too. Like you know, why pay other people when they're not even doing I don't think they're doing anything. They're just collecting a payment. We can actually do something. You know, we
It
can
says reach
actually
out to Said reach out to Dan for joining a nonprofit board. One of your highlights.
what the heck?
Don't you know what you put on your own page?
I have no idea. What the hell is that?
I don't know.
Where do you see
Well, for
this? Let
this
me go
matter,
see.
Dan, why don't we just go for an I or B setting?
You know, Chris and I were talking to somebody who used to be at BioClinica about that. If you use WCG as a model,
I got you a priest.
What's that?
I got you a priest.
Priest?
Yeah.
What do you mean? You got a priest?
I got a priest to put on the board,
Oh, yeah, you need members from that's right. That's okay. We should do Chris, what do you think? You want to go back to doing that?
What, IRB?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that.
Look at WCG, what they do. It's
Of
unbelievable
course.
what they
They're
do.
gonna own the entire research community at some point.
Pretty much. Pretty
That's
much.
really good.
I'm curious about this nonprofit thing.
I don't know, Dan. You put it up there.
I have no idea, honestly. Maybe someone
All
asked
it
me to
does,
post something.
I don't know. It just says message Dan.
Is this like a spam? Somebody hacked my account or what?
I don't know. It's on your highlights, darling.
Highlight? What's a highlight? Let me see. Highlights. very interesting. You learn new things every day.
About yourself.
Apparently. I'll have to find it. I don't even know what highlights is. Highlights. I'll look and see.
All right.
Not sure. Send me the link to that thing, and then
It doesn't give a link. All it does is it has like a button to message Dan.
What the heck is that? I have no idea. Under accomplishments, somebody said. Let's see. I don't even know that that section exists.
Oh, you know what? I just said, okay, never mind. I just hit the message Dan.
Yeah.
And it says, "Hi Dan, I saw that you're available for ...
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah,
weird.
I don't know. At least no one hacked my account. That's good. I was more concerned
Right.
about that. Apparently, somebody reached out to me the other day about that I'm like a connection with someone. Not the thing we talked about yesterday. Somebody else reached out and said, hey, did you know that you're like a connection with this guy? And I'm like, no, I don't know almost any of my connections. I just accept them. And this guy's like in jail. Apparently, he's like the biggest fraudster in clinical research. So of course I removed him and blocked him. But like, hey, that's the risk of like just accepting everybody that comes your way. I mean, everybody wants a bigger network, but then you get people saying, "Hey, you know this guy?" And I'm like, I've never heard of this guy in my life.
Yeah.
Hey, that's the new world we live in, guys. Oh, somebody said Ashley Margot messaging you under accomplishments. Okay, yeah, Ashley's on this call, or she was. I think she was on this call. She's really good about. I mean, she's gonna get hired. Like as soon as this thing picks up, PPD's calling her every week, just about. Okay. Good stuff. Good news, guys. I like it. I like this call. I like the everything that we talked about. I like the optimism uh, that at least I have. I think Sherry has too. Monica has. Whoever else talked, Rod has optimism. So this is not like '08, at least for our industry. Macroeconomics, who knows? You start thinking deflation, and then you start thinking inflation. But these are topics for other channels and podcasts. My Patreon, maybe, not for this. For clinical research, we're good, guys. Just be happy you're not in restaurants or hotels, but apparently they have interruption insurance. So maybe it's not so bad for them either.
Yeah, well, I'll send you some information as soon as I get it from my insurance agent, because I was like, hey, if it can cover that industry, it can cover ours.
I think it would be a good time to invest in a hotel. A distressed property.
No, I don't want the headaches.
You just got to bite the bullet for like a few months, and then, hopefully you're good. Commercial, I'm worried about commercial real estate. But that's another topic as well. WeWork stopped paying their rent, which is like the biggest shared workspace vendor in the world. And they have fancy Chris, you remember WeWork? We went to the one in LA. They have them everywhere. Irvine, they have one in Irvine. They stopped paying their rent on all their properties. So that's like
those virtual offices.
No, WeWork is like real offices. Like they rent these like class A. I mean, they have kombucha on tap. They like it's fancy. It's fancy stuff, and people pay depending if you want like your own little office or if you just want a shared workspace. Your rents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they have them everywhere. New York's got a bunch. San Francisco, LA, Irvine, all the big cities, Philly, they all have WeWorks. Well, they haven't paid their rent now. They stopped paying their rent on all their properties. And that's like prime class A office space that is what, like nothing, and then all these people who are using WeWork are not going to have a place to work. So thank God we're in research, guys. That's the motto. That's the lesson from today. And yeah,
Research is economy-proof industry.
I would say pandemic proof. Economy proof, no, because 08 was not fun for anyone in the industry. If you were a site, I mean, it was not fun. If you were a CRA, even senior CRAs were getting laid off, dozens, like hundreds, but like dozens at a time. Sites were losing studies. Like, how studies are on pause right now, but we're also seeing all this buildup of new studies. Well, 08 was just like the sponsor called you and said, stop enrolling. We're done with this study. That's it for every study. And then there was nothing else on the horizon. Like nothing. Not only that, CRAs were getting laid off, like in large numbers. That was 2008. And it took until 2010 for that to start coming back.
Well, Rod had mentioned about like the pandemonium that went back during AIDS, when AIDS came out in research. And I had mentioned to you before, my oldest son, who was 38 years old in 1985, was diagnosed with a stage 4 cancer. Well, back in 1985, nobody knew what AIDS was. They didn't know how it was transmitted. They didn't have a blood test for it. They didn't have anything. And it also turned out that another little boy that sat next to my son in his kindergarten class was diagnosed with osteogenic sarcoma. And I don't know if you remember Ryan White, and you might be a little bit too young to remember him, but the little kids went home and they said, oh my goodness, such and so are both sick. They both look the same. And the parents went nuts. We were getting phone calls and threats, keep your little AIDS infected kids out of the schools. We don't need them, because nobody knew what these kids had. And body again, the pandemonium that broke out over these kids being sick with cancer and everybody thinking they were AIDS patients was unbelievably horrendous. I mean, Ryan White, who was around that time, his house was burnt to the ground in Kokomo, Indiana, because he was a hemophiliac that tested that had developed AIDS, which, Rod, you should be very familiar with him. Oh. But yeah, so to see the panic that's going on now with this, I hope it doesn't go to that extreme.
Yeah. Well, seems pretty extreme already. I hear in New York people are yelling at each other for not wearing masks.
Oh
when
my
they're like
God!
20 feet away.
Go to YouTube and look up videos of interior New York. They're having street brawls.
They're having street brawls over not wearing masks. Yet they're gonna touch each other. They're gonna touch each other and bleed on each other.
There's strong armed robberies going on. I mean, I don't know if they did it in California, but in Pennsylvania and a couple other states, the government decided to release prisoners.
They did that here. Yeah, they did that here.
Thinking? You have people in cells that couldn't follow the rules to begin with. And now, after being cooped up, you've put them on the streets with nothing to do.
Yeah, are you kidding me? California was like the first state to do this.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
I know. It's insane. It's insane. But guys, same time, same link every day. Share with a friend. And let's keep doing it. Let's keep the ball rolling. Let's keep the momentum going, the good news going, and let's network. Okay, that's all we can do right now.
Have a good one.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Good day. Good night.